What's up YouTube? Welcome to today's video. I actually made two videos today because I just saw this news pop up, and 3.20 has pretty much been officially delayed because of Diablo 4. We actually look over here. They actually recently released our 2023 plans. We're going to go over all of the juicy details and see why exactly PoE has actually chosen to delay 3.21 to the beginning of April. So previously, Path of Exile was actually on a collision course with Diablo 4. Whenever people popped in my Twitch chat and asked me, when do you think 3.20 was going to come out? I always thought 3.20 was going to be delayed. There was no way it was ever going to come out on time. Pretty much because of the release date of Diablo 4. Diablo 4 is releasing on June 6, 2023. And actually, I think a couple days earlier with the pre-purchase early access to the open beta. And this means that Sanctum was released on December 9th, and 3.2021, if you go by 3-month release cycles, it would be released on March 9th, and then 3.22 would be released somewhere on the second week of June or somewhere around there. So what that means is that Diablo 4 and PoE would pretty much be releasing at the exact same time. So that would pretty much be a complete disaster for GGG in terms of 3.22. But it is nice to see that GGG made a news post addressing this issue and pretty much assuaging all of the concerns that we had as a collective group about what would happen if they decided to clash with pretty much the king of the ARPG genre, or the former king of the ARPG genre. I do think that PoE is in the class by itself currently, but let's go over what GGG decided to say. So in this post, they literally said that they're going to launch the expansion in early April. Not really exactly sure when in early April. If I had to guess, it's probably the first or second Friday of April. Now, what that means is that Sanctum will run longer than normal. And that's pretty good because Sanctum is a lot of people's favorite league. You can still farm your Sanctified Relic. Although at this point in the league, nearly 2 months in, I do think that the player base has drastically died down already, and a lot of people are just waiting around for the gauntlet. Now, because the league is lasting longer than normal, that does mean that there might be some new events in the final month before 3.21 launches. So that might mean the return of Endless Delve or Endless Delirium or Atlas Invasion. I'm actually very, very curious what events GGG will choose to do, because these events generally lead to a lot of burnout, especially right before league launches. So they right here in their words, they said, we are currently tinkering with a few ideas for some fun low-key things. So maybe low-key means that there could be some short-term race events. We never know. And this might mean that this could be the start of 4-month development cycles. They do stress in this post right here that they have a lot more development time, and that development time is almost being invariably linked to the quality of the league. So they're very happy with how well received Forbidden Sanctum was, and they said they hope to keep the positivity rolling through 2023 with our upcoming releases, and they think that having more development time will really help with that. And something to keep in mind is that 3.20 was actually delayed, I think, for nearly a month, and they did say that the extra development time will help them out with any sort of bugs. And Sanctum, I do think, was a pretty bug-free launch, and there wasn't that many hot fixes or exploits that they had to deal with. So overall, Sanctum was, in my eyes, a pretty big success with how they handled it. Now, next up, they addressed ExileCon. Now, ExileCon is pretty much like BlizzCon or any sort of convention, and it's happening on July 29th through the 30th in Auckland, New Zealand, and that is the land of the Hobbits or Lord of the Rings. So a lot of people will invariably travel there just to have some fun, to hang out with like-minded people and geniuses. I will not be going to ExileCon, I think it's too far. We'll go over in a little bit more later on about how much the plane tickets actually are. But information at ExileCon will be released about Path of Exile 2, PoE Mobile, and the 3.22 expansion. And I do think in ExileCon we'll get some info about the release date of PoE 2. So the main reason they brought out ExileCon is because we might need to know about our travel plans. Because if you look at this date right here, July 29th to 30th, and if it actually launches on April 1st or the first week of April for 3.21, that means June, July, August. So 3.22 would come out sometime in August, right? And that is a huge issue because a lot of people will be traveling to ExileCon. So what time would you actually need to return from New Zealand is the real question. So this brings us to the topic of 3.22. Now, GGG says, if you're coming to ExileCon and wanting to do some travels within New Zealand around that time, we're generally recommending that people travel before the convention rather than afterwards. So a lot of people, you save up your entire life savings, you go to ExileCon, you go to New Zealand, you don't want to just stay there for like a couple days. You want to see the area, maybe go visit Australia or something like that, or travel around New Zealand, go to the different islands, and we'll need some time to do that. So they say it's better to do it before than after, because PoE 3.22 will be releasing, I think they say, likely around 2 weeks afterwards. So we're probably going to see PoE 3.22 release around like August 10th or 14th, somewhere around there. So traveling to New Zealand and then the jet lag that is involved with it will probably take around like 3 to 4 days to get used to it after you come back. So they do recommend us to leave New Zealand a few days after ExileCon, make sure we have enough time to go back so that we can be well rested. We do all of our chores, we iron our clothes, we order all of our meal prep, we hire a housekeeper, we do the laundry, or we do the yard work, and then we'll be ready for 3.22 and be able to be a full goblin at launch. And they do say that they do have a lot planned for this year in the lead up to Path of Exile 2, and they can't wait to share it with us all. So what does this actually mean? So one of the main things that I immediately think of is Sanctum better because of the 4-month development cycle, or because they just removed Arch Nemesis? Now that's an interesting question. I do think that Sanctum is a slam dunk league because they removed Arch Nemesis, and because our Sanctum was actually kind of well designed in the sense that it was interesting, it was unique and different than what we've experienced before, and most importantly, Sanctum had replayability. Now, whether this replayability came about because of the 4-month development cycle, we'll never really know. But I do not think that GGG will actually go to a 4-month development cycle. I think having a 4-month development cycle would pretty much just cut your profits down by 25%. And that is quite a big amount to adjust to, right? So I do think that this is probably more of a temporary thing that they do to combat the release of D4, because I'm really sure that GGG do not want to launch at the same time as Diablo 4. It's pretty foolish. Now that brings us to the next point. Are GGG actually going to avoid Diablo 4's leagues in the future, or we're going to be like Lost Ark? Because GGG did not avoid Lost Ark or Elden Ring, but that was probably because they already delayed the league, so they couldn't afford to keep delaying it. But if you remember, Arch Nemesis League did not do that well, even though it was a really, really good league and a really, really good expansion. Well, maybe not league, but good expansion. And that's because everyone left to go play Elden Ring, and a lot of people also left to go play Lost Ark. So I do think that GGG is probably wary of Diablo 4, and I do think that they'll probably try to avoid it. But at the same time, sometimes it's just the best time to launch a game, right? If you launch a game during early holiday season, like in early December, that's definitely the best time. People have a lot of savings, they have a lot of holiday spending money, and that's when they actually buy stuff in microtransactions. So the next question is, should I even go to ExileCon? I don't know if I actually can. I actually looked at the prices. These are the prices from LAX to New Zealand, and I mean, it's only $12.92, right? So if you actually leave on Tuesday and return on Tuesday, is a lot cheaper. If you try to return on the weekend on Monday, then it's a lot more. And let's see, what day do you depart? So if you depart in the middle of the week, is a lot cheaper than departing on the weekends. And if you return in the middle of the week, then it's also a lot cheaper. So just the standard course of affairs. But if I do go, I also need to buy 2 tickets, right? So that's kind of a lot, but we'll see. And I'm not even sure if there's even any ExileCon tickets. And then you have to take into consideration that the ExileCon tickets, I think, are like $500 or something. So you're looking at like a $10,000 trip nearly. But thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know down in the comments below if you're excited for 3.21, if you want PoE to go to a 4-month development cycle, and if you will be attending ExileCon. And thanks for watching. I hope you find more mirrors, divines, and apothecaries than me. And see you next time. Bye.